We, in a way, decentralized that. We started a platform where we host contests for engineers. It's actually contest.com. We have this separate platform for that, and we select the best of the best engineers as a result of the competitions that we organize. We hold them every month or 2 months. So after a series of these competitions, we select the best of the best of the best, and they then maybe can join our team, which is just about 30 engineers. So it's really compact, the team, super efficient. It's like a Navy SEAL team. And this is how we operate. We don't need HR department to find super talented engineers.
Why doesn't everyone do this? I mean, I look at some of these tech companies, or Elon Musk famously, when he showed up at Twitter, I mean, there were people doing things that he didn't even know what they were doing, and they didn't know what they were doing. They were like, there was a world peace department and a foosball department, and why doesn't everybody run their business like you?
Well, it's an interesting question. I think it all boils down to the question of independence, in a way. I asked this question to the predecessors of Elon.
Jack Dorsey.
Jack and his predecessor as well. And
what'd you say?
Dick Costello, I think,
yeah.
His name. And this Jack, he told me that if I told him, look, you can run this company with 20 people. You don't need so many people here. And the response was, I agree with you, but if we start firing so many people, it will make the Wall Street scared. They will think something's very wrong with the company. And we don't want to do that. And that's why we gotta keep all these employees around.
So to keep the stock price high, he had to run it inefficiently. I mean, that's what you're saying.
If I understood him correctly, that's what. But to his credit, Elon has to take Twitter private before he could do all the organizations he did.
There's something sort of profound in what you're saying. I mean, the whole point of a publicly traded company, or one of the points, so the public can participate in the ownership of the company, but also so outsiders can assess the operations of the company. And so there's transparency. So we know how the company is run because it's owned by the public. And so it would be, by definition, more efficient, you would think, but you're saying that it's wildly less efficient, that you wind up with a foosball department when it's publicly traded, but when it's privately held, you don't. I mean, that's kind of the opposite of what you would think, right?
Well, I guess most tech founders would actually agree that running a public company is less efficient than running a private company, because you have to be accountable to much more people. There's a lot of redundancy, bureaucracy involved. So from a purely efficiency standpoint, I would argue, and I think a lot of people would agree with me, that running a public company is suboptimal. However, there are other advantages of getting listed. And of course, that is relevant when you want to acquire other companies.
Cash.
Yes, right. You can have access to cheap capital. Or, there's a lot of things you can do.
But you don't want to do any of those things.
Well, not presently, definitely. I am enjoying running my company in the way it is. Well, who knows what the future holds, but as of now, I think we are doing a great job with Telegram. 900 million users. We'll probably cross 1 billion monthly active users within a year from now. So I think we're doing great. Why would we lose this momentum right now?
Can I just go back to something you said at the outset? You don't have an HR department. You only have 30 engineers working for you. You run the products, you own the company. Such a tight organization, but how do you get new users if you spend zero money for acquisitions? If you're not advertising, if you're not paying to bring people in, how do you do that? How do you get to 1 billion for free?
Well, because people love our product. What we realized pretty early on is that people are smart. People like to use good things, and they don't like to use inferior things. That's why whenever you have a person who started to use Telegram, and they're there for a while, and they start to discover all the features, all their, the speed, the security, the privacy, everything that we have. They don't want to go back, and they start inviting their friends, recommending them, "Oh, you should really check this app out because it's so much better than everything else." And also because people realize that whatever messaging apps they're using right now, they're like 5-6 years behind. They're copying what we did 6 years ago, and that's not a very high quality copy that they make of our features. So people love quality. That's why they move. They also love the independence. They also love the privacy. They love the freedom. There are a lot of reasons why somebody would switch to Telegram from other apps.
So one of the things we learned when Elon Musk bought Twitter is that the intel agencies, not just US, but a bunch of other countries, the usual suspects, were all over the company. I mean, some of them were present working at the company. They had access to the direct messages. You can just imagine, well, because you run one, but the wealth of data flowing through would be of great interest to governments. Does that make you paranoid that you'll be penetrated? I mean, I assume governments would like to know what's going on sort of privately on Telegram.
Well, there's definitely a lot of responsibility that we have on our shoulders, and I wouldn't say we are paranoid, but I think it makes sense to stay prudent and not being too accessible, not traveling to weird places.
You don't travel to weird places?
I hope not. I travel to places where I have confidence that those places are consistent with what we do and our values. I don't go to any of the big geopolitical powers of the countries like China or Russia or even the US. So
you don't go to the US?
I try not to. I can go, but it's too much attention, like I described before.
Yeah, because at some point, if you run something like this, you're a player in world politics. I mean, whether you want to be or not, don't you think?
We definitely don't want to be a player. We want to be a neutral platform that is impartial and doesn't take any side. But you're probably right. There's some role we have to play.
Well, not taking a side is the one thing you're not allowed to do, right? I mean, aren't you required to take a side in the modern world?
I think that's a big problem, because I think that kind of attitude can result in our world becoming a more dangerous place. Because at the end of the day, we all have to try to understand each other and try to get closer to each other in terms of getting to know the positions of the other people, even though they're drastically different from our own positions. And that's how we get to some compromise and move forward. If we're strictly divided and everybody is required to take a side, we can't take a side, because we are this platform that people should use to collaborate and to find common ground and hopefully to move forward. If we lose that, we can end up in a much more dangerous place.
How often do you intersect with the National Security Agency, NSA? And I ask that as someone whose texts were read by them. So I know that they're very active in this world. What's your experience been?
Well, I think the NSA is not an agency that works with you directly, right? You're not coming here.
You're so diplomatic. I love it. The NSA is not an agency that works with you directly. No, that is true. That is true.
So my knowledge of my interactions with the NSA is very limited.
Yes.
I could read something in the newspapers about,